So former Packers quarterback Kurt Benkert, who was with the Packers back in 2021, mainly on the practice squad, he had some thoughts to share on Twitter about this Packers offense, about Jordan Love. And so I want to read these because I think it is interesting coming from a former player who was obviously on the Packers roster with Matt LaFleur, with Jordan Love. And Kurt Benkert has been pretty open in the past 2 weeks about his thoughts on his time there. So I want to read this here. So he starts off saying, "I see a lot of Jordan Love bashing today, and it's unwarranted. If the receiver fights back through contact on the last play and draws a pass interference like any vet receiver would do, the Packers would have had a chip shot field goal to win the game. Instead, with the youngest roster in the NFL, that doesn't happen. You have to remember, Jordan has been groomed for 4 years by a guy that did those exact things. The high-level parts of the game consistently with success, but he also had vet guys, his guys, all around him that played at an intellectually high level with him. What you're seeing this year is a first-time starter with years of experience learning the game and seeing it a certain way, having to play with players that aren't at that level yet. And he's keeping his cool while going through all of that. Not to mention he's playing in a scheme with very little answers right now and has his back against a wall most of the game from play one. They could be making it easier in Green Bay right now for him, but haven't. I feel for Jordan because this situation isn't one that many guys would have success in currently. The conservative play calling in the first half has led to a dead last 32nd rank in the NFL at 4.3 points per game in the first. Imagine playing every game from behind with the youngest roster in the NFL, knowing it shouldn't be happening that way." So I think right now with the Packers at 2-4, lots of us are sort of looking at the team and looking at the situation, really wondering what is the biggest issue. I think there's lots of blame to go around. People talking about Matt LaFleur's play calling, Jordan Love and his accuracy issues, maybe the inexperience of the receivers. And Benkert sort of talked on a few of those things, specifically not having veteran receivers, guys who really know what they're doing at the highest level. And for me personally, I still am wondering, when you look at Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, who has suffered lots of injuries, how much is it Jordan Love and how much is it the receivers, not doing their job? Because I feel like with Aaron Rodgers, Doubs was looking better, Christian Watson was looking better, and obviously having a Hall of Fame quarterback, he raises those guys' level of play, and it's sort of hard to tell how good these guys are right now just because we haven't really seen, the receivers that involved in the game. There haven't been any really massive games from Watson or Doubs consistently whatsoever. And so you do start to wonder, is it the inexperience of the receiver room? Is it Jordan Love? And I would assume there's a mix of both parts. And Kurt Benkert also talking about the play calling, which I think many people are frustrated with at this point, because you would hope that by now the Packers would at least somewhat solve the first half issues that have plagued them so far, and they still honestly have yet to do so. Then here's the other tweet I'll share from him. He says, "The problems the Packers are facing right now are the same ones they've had for years that have been covered up by 12 and 17, Rodgers and Devontae. Those two guys being able to play one-on-one ball 10 to 15 plays a game covered up a lot of holes for the organization. Now coaches have to be more creative. The collective unit has to play better, and neither of the two are good enough to play from behind every single game. Things have to change fast, and there needs to be an honest look in the mirror and around the league for better answers on how to do things." That's the last thing I have for the Packers this week. I was thinking about that myself in the past, or since yesterday. When you look at, when LaFleur was here with Rodgers and Devontae Adams, you have Devontae, who's one of the best receivers in the NFL, probably going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. And then you got Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. And they had such a beautiful connection, and the chemistry was probably the best of maybe any quarterback and wide receiver, especially at the time. And so it does make you wonder, how much of that success was based on Matt LaFleur, because there was always talk about, is Rodgers running Matt LaFleur's scheme? There was some talk this offseason that, okay, we're finally going to see LaFleur's scheme with Jordan Love, who's going to run it precisely. And if we are seeing Jordan Love or Matt LaFleur's scheme fully with Jordan Love playing as he has, it doesn't look very, very good. And here's the thing. I don't think it's all on LaFleur. I talked about this yesterday in my reaction video. I feel like the blame has to go all around the team. It's a very young team. It's a very inexperienced team. Obviously, that probably makes it more difficult for LaFleur to scheme things up. But at the same time, you do have lots of guys who at least have some kind of talent. Maybe they're going to have some mental mistakes, but still, you would hope that you could get something out of them. And the thing is, we have found some success in the second half. Like in the third quarter, the Packers seem to find ways to push the ball down the field. I don't know why it's suddenly easier in the third quarter. I don't know if the Packers are just letting it loose more, playing with more urgency because they're down. I don't know. And it seems right now that the Packers don't exactly have an answer. But I just wanted to share those 2 tweets from Kurt Benkert. I thought they were interesting. And if you want more Packers content like this, feel free to subscribe down below.